Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Robert Adams, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Corporal Daniel Free. This evening, we are honoured to acknowledge Lieutenant General Hiroe Jiro, Commanding General, Training, Education, Research and Development Command, Japan Ground Self-Defence Force, accompanied by Major General Chris Smith, Deputy Chief of Army, and the accompanying delegation. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the live stream of this broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Port Elliot Primary School from South Australia, Casillas Public School and Sandy Hollow Public School visiting from New South Wales. Australia's Federation Guard is the tri-service ceremonial unit of the Australian Defence Force. They provide a ceremonial presence at civil and military events and during visits to Australia by foreign dignitaries. The Guard will now dismount the catafalque party from the tomb of the unknown Australian soldier. If you are able, I now invite you to please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for
Students and visitors requiring a seat, you may now be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Richard Thomas Henry Stripling. Richard Stripling, or Tom as he was more commonly known, was born in Geelong in 1897 to George and Isabella Stripling. Little is known of Tom's early life. He attended Geelong Secondary School and after graduating worked as a labourer. Before enlisting in the Australian Imperial Force, Tom spent 18 months working as an orderly at one of the base hospitals in Victoria. He enlisted on the 13th of May 1916 and was assigned to the 14th Australian General Hospital and Reinforcements. Tom spent his initial training period at AMC Royal Park and the Clearing Hospital, Maribyrnong in Melbourne, before leaving Australia on the 19th of August in HMAT Karula. After arriving in Egypt, Tom was assigned to the 14th Australian General Hospital in Alexandria. He remained there until late 1916 as an orderly. In June 1917, he was briefly admitted to hospital, suffering from tonsillitis, before being transferred to a convalescent home at Montazar in Alexandria in order to recover. He returned to duty at the 14th General Hospital on the 10th of July. Shortly afterwards, Tom was transferred to the 2nd Light Horse Ambulance, which was attached to the 2nd Light Horse Brigade. The ambulance provided second-line casualty evacuation for the 2nd Light Horse Brigade, extracting casualties from the immediate battle area and transporting them to advanced dressing stations and other facilities further away from the battle. The ambulance accompanied the 2nd Light Horse Brigade in Palestine throughout late 1917. Following the fall of Gaza in November 1917, they shifted operations in the Jordan Valley. At the end of March, the ambulance was moving from Swele to Es Salt, transporting wounded to the new position. The difficult terrain caused heavy delays, with multiple camels becoming bogged whilst carrying wounded men. A handful of men from the ambulance, including Tom, were left behind with the wounded, while the rest of the field ambulance continued on to Es Salt, from where they could send out riders with spare horses and sand carts to collect them. By mid-morning on the 1st of April, the majority of the wounded and accompanying men from the ambulance had made their way into the Allied lines at Es Salt, despite having been fired on by the Ottoman enemy. The remaining patients, along with 3 members of the field ambulance, never reached Es Salt and were reported as missing. One of these men was Tom Stripling. Initially, the fate of Tom and the other 2 men was uncertain. On the 20th of April, the 3 men were recommended for military medals and their families notified. However, this recommendation was cancelled when it emerged that the men had been captured by the Ottomans and transported to Turkey. In Turkey, Tom was put to work at Gelabek in the Taurus Mountains on the Berlin to Baghdad railway line. There, towards the end of April, he was severely injured when he was crushed by a fall of earth while working on a bank underneath the railway line. Although he was taken to hospital, his wounds proved too severe. Private Tom Stripling died on the 30th of April 1918 from wounds sustained while a prisoner of war. He was 20 years old. The location of Tom's remains has never been identified. Today, he's commemorated at the Basra Memorial in Iraq. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his name listed on the Basra Memorial in Iraq is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Richard Thomas Henry Stripling, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Come on, buddies, present, up!
Lest we forget.
Come on, buddies, Satan, up! Come on, buddies, in woods, done! Come on, buddies, up!
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director, staff and volunteers, we thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.